We always talk about weapons and spells and incantations and armor and all sorts of nonsense in Elden Ring, but what about talismans? You can equip 4 of them and they are critical to any build that you make in Elden Ring. So, to prepare you for the DLC, here are the best talismans in the game, plus some extras that you should think about using for the DLC specifically. Let's go! All right, let me know your favorite talisman in the comments down below. Also, if you want to know how to get talisman pouches or for those talisman slots or how to unlock the DLC, you can check out this video that is linked right here. To begin, I want to cover some more common talismans that are not only great for any build, but maybe also some lesser known ones that are actually really good for the DLC as a whole. The first one is called the Silver Scarab. Now, what this does is it raises your item discovery by 75. Now, in the DLC, you are going to have a bunch of juicy new enemy drops. And if you have spent any time farming weapons or armor or any of those drops, like I have in this game for all of the videos I've done on this channel, item discovery is very, very important. Now, by simply just equipping this Scarab, you gain an additional 75 item discovery, which is actually huge. When you think about like item discovery, the more you have, the higher the chance that any of those rare drops will actually drop. And chances are there's going to be a ton of them in the DLC, just like there was in the base game. The Silver Scarab is a bit of a tricky one. It's found along the way to the Erdtree just after the lift. Now, in that like central chamber, there is a broken railing that you can drop down an invisible like platform, and you essentially just need to follow this to the grave glovewort, and then behind there is an illusionary wall where you'll be able to destroy and get the Silver Scarab. The next is the Clarifying Horn Charm, something you've probably never heard of before because it's just one of those random charms, but what this does is it raises your focus by 140, which improves your resistance to sleep and also madness. Now, we don't know 100%, but if I was a betting man, I would be betting that there is going to be a whole lot of sleep in this DLC, just based on Miquella's history, as well as some of the shots we have seen in the trailer. Now, by raising your focus by 140%, you become more resistant to sleep, so you'll take longer for that effect to actually apply to you, which is obviously going to be great. Now, the +1 variant of this, which gives you the most amount of improvement to your focus, can be found on a corpse like in the Nokron Eternal City. After the Mimic tier, if you follow the bridge all the way across and then drop down near the cliff and then follow the cliff all the way down, once you have landed on the very bottom there will be a corpse that you can grab this talisman from in that center room. Erdtree's Favor is next. Now, there's multiple variants of this. The +2 variant gives you the most increase to your overall HP, your stamina, and your equip load. Now, it's probably obvious why this is beneficial for you, but if you want to get the main, like the best version of this, it's found in Lindell Ashen Capital, in between the lesser ulcerated tree spirits. You'll be able to see them in that like final area of the game, in that large courtyard. You'll be able to point it out to you there. The Bull Goat Talisman increases your maximum poise by, I think it's like 30% in total, but it's a pretty substantial upgrade. Now, the back of the Dragon Barrow Cave is where you'll find this. Just be careful of the rune bear that is in this location. You'll need to defeat the bear or just run past it and then follow this path all the way to the back, and there'll be a corpse where you'll be able to get the Bull Goat Talisman. Every build should be using the Dragon Crest Greatshield Talisman. What this does is it enormously reduces your physical damage taken by a total of 20%. There are multiple versions of this talisman that you find throughout the game, but this one being the most beneficial for a number of reasons. Like, majority of the damage you will take in the entire game is going to be physical. Reducing that amount of damage by any percentage is like always good. You can't really go wrong there. Now, you can switch this out to some of the more specific negations if you want to, like for certain bosses, but essentially, like, you'll probably use this on every single build, especially any of those builds where you will take some sort of damage. To get the talisman, I would start at the drainage channel in the Erdtree and then follow the roots like along this path. There will be a hole in the roof that you can actually drop down onto the beams, and then you want to drop down to that area to the left where there will be some pests. Just don't die like I did the first time I tried to grab this for you guys for footage, and then open up the chest and you'll get the talisman there. I just wanted to touch on this generally. Now, there are 4 of these, and these are the Scorpion Charms. Now, every type of damage damage other than physical has a matching Scorpion charm that will increase the amount of that specific type of damage you do by about 10% and increase the amount of damage you take by about the same. Now, just touching on the Dragon Crest Greatshield Talisman again, you can equip both of these to mitigate that 10% increase by having both of these equipped anyway. So the trade-off here is pretty negligible, but you just get that extra damage increase. Now, I will flash up on the screen where you can find the fire, the magic, the sacred, and the lightning Scorpion Talisman, because it is dependent on your build, but for the most part here, whichever one you're using, these are all absolutely fantastic to use. Now, let's get into some specific talismans that are absolutely the best in the game in all of the categories. The first is the Lord of Blood's Exultation. This raises your attack by about 20% for 20 seconds when there is blood loss in the vicinity. This can be blood loss on yourself as well, so if you seppuku yourself for the attack power damage you get from that, you can also use this to get a little bit extra as well. Now, you can combo this with the White Mask and other combos as well to further increase your attack power, but it's a fantastic talisman because blood loss is one of the most common status effects you'll use in any of your builds, and having this on that is just like absolutely exceptional, right? Like there's not really much to say about this. It's just a very good talisman. In order to get this, you'll need to defeat Esgar, the Priest of Blood, in the Lendal Catacombs, all the way underneath the Lendal capital city. The Rotten Wind Insignia greatly raises your attack power with successive attacks. Now, there's a few options here, and we're going to talk about them all because it's a little dependent on quest lines and sort of what you're doing, etc. So the first option being the Rotten Wind Insignia. Now, this greatly raises your attack power for successive attacks. So any build that uses, say, dual weapons or a fast attacking weapon where you're going to be attacking rapidly, you want to use this talisman to increase your attack power. There is a weaker version of this called the Winged Sword Insignia, which comes from the Stillwater Cave. At the end of that, you can grab that. Now, the reason I mentioned that there's some options here is because in order to get the Rotten Wind Insignia, you need to complete Millicent's quest line all the way to the very end of the Erdtree and side with her against her sisters. Alternatively, if you kill Millicent either at that last encounter, or for example, if you kill Millicent anytime after the Godskin Apostle fight, you can grab Millicent's prosthetic as a talisman as well, which increases your dexterity by 5 and raises your attack power with successive attacks. Now, these actually do stack, so you can have these like equipped at the same time, say on multiple playthroughs if you've done this different ways, but the thing is, you can only get one of Millicent's prosthesis, and the Rotten Winged Sword Insignia, you can only get one of those per like run through the game, but you've also got the Winged Sword Insignia as a weaker alternative. So say if you wanted to kill Millicent and get that option, then just use the Winged Sword Insignia and combo those, you can do that, but I just thought I'd mention the different specifics there. The next is a bit of a combo package that comes together because both of them are fantastic. That's the Shard of Alexander and the Carian Filigreed Crest. Now, the Shard of Alexander greatly boosts the attack power of your skills by 15%. Now, you can combine this with the Carian Filigreed Crest to lower the FP cost of those skills by about 25%. Now, this is an amazing combo for any builds that uses a lot of those Ash of Wars, like those weapon arts very regularly, right? Think something like the Sword of Night and Flame, Moonveil Katana, the Dark Moon Greatsword, etc., etc. Any of those builds that heavily rely on Ash of Wars, this is an essential combo really, because it will not only increase your overall damage, lowers the amount of FP you need to use those skills. It's just absolutely incredible. Now, the Shard of Alexander comes from Iron Fist Alexander by completing his quest line in Fra Missoula. If you kill Alexander before that point, he will instead drop the Warrior Jar Shard, which does the exact same thing. It just gives you a little less percentage attack power. I mentioned this in one of my other videos, but if you're on your first run through Elden Ring and you're going to go straight into the DLC, you may not actually want to go to Fra Missoula because of the events that actually triggers. We don't know if that's going to affect the DLC in any sort of a way, but I just want to make sure that it, if it does, I'm just calling that out here. So you can get the weaker version of this if you're on your first run by defeating Alexander, if you wanted to do that. And the Carian Filigreed Crest comes from War Counselor Iji near the Carian Manor. You can talk to him and purchase it from there. We've got a couple of great talismans for spells and incantation builds now, starting off with the Phlox Canvas Talisman, which raises the potency of your incantations by 8 8%, and that's just across the board. So there are a lot of ways, especially in incantations, actually to raise like specific types of incantations. Very few that just raise incantations across the board. This is one of them by the Flock Talisman. Now, there is also the Faithful's Camp, like the weaker version, which is only at 4%, which is much easier to get if you want to grab that. But the Flock's version comes from Gowry after you essentially kill him. Now, he has to be like crying about Millicent's death in order to do that. So you have to have completed Millicent's quest line, and then you'll be able to actually grab the Canvas Talisman from him to get that extra 8%. And these do stack, so you can have both of them equipped at once. And conversely, on the spell side, if you're using intelligence spells, the Graven Mass Talisman does the exact same thing, except it's damage for all sorcery types by 8%. And this is much easier to get. It's found in the Consecrated Snowfield via the Albinoric Rise by going here. Now, to get this to like open this rise, you will need to have like imps fighting there. The easiest way to like have this event to trigger is via the Fanged Imp Ashes, which you can buy via the merchant just outside the main academy gate side of Grace. So you can go there, buy that, and then just use this, wait for it to trigger, and then you can walk up these stairs, and it's found in a chest up there. And if you want to shorten the casting time of those spells, in the Raya Lucaria Academy, there is a talisman here that you can find in a treasure chest on the 2nd level of the Debate Parlor side of Grace. Now, in order to do this, you'll need to go out the door and then wing a right and then follow up this path all the way up the ladder, and then you'll be able to access the 2nd level here, and there is a chest that contains Radagon's Icon, which will shorten the cast time of all of your spells across the board, so you can get those spells off faster, which is beneficial if you're trying to dodge certain attacks that are coming towards you. And Godfrey's Icon is the last one for us to call out today. Now, this raises the attack power of your charged spells and skills. So any spells or skills that you can actually charge up to increase the damage that they do, this will further increase the damage that they do. And this is dropped from Godfrey the Grafted from the Golden Lineage Everjail. You'll need to use a Stoneswood key to unlock it, and then fight him, defeat him, he'll drop the icon, and you'll get the benefits there. But that is all the best talismans in the game today. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. What's your favorite talisman? I'd love to hear from you guys. But thank you guys for watching this video till the end. Thank you to our members for supporting the channel. My name is Norza, and I hope you have a great day.